playing devil's advocate then, so we've kind of made the case for theatrical, and I think quite strongly. I guess the example that undermines that case a bit might be Buzz Lightyear. Because as you said before, Pixar had a string of movies that went straight to Disney Plus, Turning Red, and I think Luca was also straight to Disney Plus. And so Buzz Lightyear was, it was Pixar's opportunity to go out there and kind of knock it out of the park, and they didn't really. What do you have any kind of thoughts on why that was?
I just don't think the film connected. There was, I think it's funny in this business. You either blame the content or you blame the distribution strategy. And very often the distribution strategy is blamed. And I think that in this instance it was a content issue, But I also, if you held my feet to the fire and you said, do I think it's gonna do better on streaming than Luca and Turning Red and Soul? I think it might, I think it'll come out. I might be wrong and I can't wait to find that out, but it's I think it will end up doing the numbers that we've seen for those other Pixar films, and I actually think it'll probably end up doing more. It might end up doing more because people will have heard it was a turkey at the cinema and are happy to go and watch it on Disney Plus to see if it is. But and it's not a turkey. It's still a gorgeous Pixar film. It's just not their most compelling or engaging from their audience's point of view.
Yeah, I think you might have a point. It feels like there's the potential for it to do better on streaming for all of those factors, the curiosity factor, just the halo effect of it being in the Toy Story universe. People will navigate to it over something that they haven't perhaps heard of just because it's Buzz Lightyear, even if it didn't release to critical acclaim at the cinema. Do you think maybe the Pixar did themselves a kind of... Well, I suppose what I'm trying to say is in terms of Pixar movies going straight to streaming, do you think that almost set a tone for Pixar and people assumed now that Pixar would always follow that because they're part of Disney?
For me, I'm not sure. I think the Pixar studio's in an interesting place right now. It's been a while since they produced something that was a real commercial slam dunk hit.
Mm-hmm.
The franchises, when I think of Pixar, I think of Nemo, I think of Toy Story, I think of Cars. Inside Out was gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. Turning Red, Soul, all beautiful. But I think, it feels like they're going for the Oscar, not necessarily the audience. Now that Walt Disney Animation Studios is fixed, and it's churning out Frozen, Encanto, they feel like they're having a very strong commercial heyday right now. Whereas Pixar feels like they're going for the Oscar. They're going for the Oscar every year, but Oscars are great. I have so many, but it needs to connect with people at scale. That for me is the biggest satisfaction in content creation.
Yeah, I have a kind of I totally agree with that. I suppose going back to Buzz Lightyear specifically, I think that was a hard movie to market. And I think it confused the audience because I think it was very meta. This is the movie based on the toy that Andy had.
Yeah.
And that already kind of was confusing. I think, and I know that was the reason.
Meta is literally Pixar's new, that's their new.
Yeah, a lot of their stuff is maybe a little bit too meta, but it felt very clever. And I don't think the audience understood, they'd love this character in the Toy Story series, and suddenly it wasn't the character that they fell in love with. It was kind of a fictional alter ego of that character.
Yeah, and maybe there is something to be said then about this things that work well in cinema is content that consumers want and have been asking for, that they didn't necessarily want or had been clamoring for the meta Buzz Lightyear movie.
Yeah.
So perhaps it was just that perfect storm of Pixar doing their high concept stuff as they've done in recent years, but actually falling under the misconception that because it was part of the Toy Story universe, it was going to be a slam dunk at the cinema. And actually it wasn't. It wasn't a movie that consumers and moviegoers actually wanted.